Are now live streaming. We want to thank everybody for coming this way and spending some time with us tonight. We're looking forward to what Terry has studied to deliver to us tonight. Now, those of you listening by Power Faith Radio, we want to thank you so much for coming this way. The Georgia group and the coffee group has both text. They didn't tell me how many they had there, but they both text and said we're listening, and so we appreciate that. And also, if you're listening tonight via one of the two Facebook pages, A Simple Walk, which is a public group, and B'nai Noach Fellowship, which is a private group, we thank you so much for coming this way. Please, or you may be watching the recording. You can, in the Simple Walk, the public group, you can share those videos with all your social media platforms. And in B'nai Noach Fellowship, just comment, ask some questions. We appreciate that. And it's brought to you by Outreach Noah. A couple of ways you can reach Outreach Noah. You can go to the YouTube channel. All the videos are available there at the YouTube channel. Just type in Outreach Noah. Subscribe to that channel while you're there. Hit that notification bell that you'll be notified every time a new video goes up. I'm getting faster and faster at doing this. And you can also go to outreachnoah.com, and there you'll find out how to email us. But if you don't go there, you can just email us at outreachnoah@gmail.com. Did I get all that out, Terry?
One last thing. Where are you broadcasting from, Scotty?
We're broadcasting from the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee. So I'll give it to you that way tonight. So all right, Terry, you want to greet everybody, and I'll get ready for our Tzedakah time.
All righty. Greetings, everyone. I almost said good evening again. I forget we got a worldwide audience here, so it's not evening in all places like it is here in Southeast Tennessee. So greetings, everyone. Thank you for tuning in again. Thank you for all those who's joining us on the radio station. Faithfully been joining our class. We thank you for that. I want to greet everyone here in the Zoom room. Of course, we have Scotty, our engineer, down in the engineer room. And, Scotty's always telling me, I'm giving it all she's got, Captain.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody knows I got to fit Star Trek in there somewhere.
Got to put that Trekkie in.
Got to put that Trekkie in there somewhere. All right, and also we have Bob and Thomas and Amuela and Wendell. We have Ronald tonight, and Fred's at work and listening. We got Veronica, and of course Scotty's better half, Annie, and then we have Shlomo's joined us tonight. Again, everyone is welcome to come to the Zoom room if you want to, the live Zoom room. You do not have to have your camera on to participate in B'nai Noach Fellowship and Simple Walk, and also the Noahides of Australia and New Zealand groups all have the link to the Zoom room. If you want to join in with us, you're welcome to come on in. And so we'll be glad to have you. So tonight, we're going to be going on into, we've been covering the subject of Dinim, the not denim like your blue jeans, but Dinim, judgment, courts, establishing a courts. That's the last of the seven mitzvahs, or the seven categorical behavioral patterns of Noah that the Creator wants us to observe as the non-Jewish nations of the world. And so we've been covering that. And tonight we're going to get into the subject of morality and kindness. And as usual, for me, the Torah and studying the Torah in the areas that we're permitted to study is like going up to a buffet. I think I put too much on my plate tonight. I'm going to try to finish this, but if not, we'll finish up next week on the 7 laws that we've been studying. And like I said, usually I put too much on my plate, and I think I did, because this morning as I was sitting and doing some more studying, I just dipped out there and put a few more things on my plate. As a matter of fact, I just did that before I came on tonight. My mind never shuts off, and I'm in there in the other room, and all of a sudden, boom, light bulb hits, and I'm running in here right before I get on, and well, put another side item on the dish, and we're going to try to get to that tonight and everything. So just bear with me. When we finish this, I said we were going to go start the 7 gates of righteous knowledge spiritual knowledge and faith for the righteous Gentiles. I've decided to hold off on that a couple of weeks because we have had some questions that has come in over the last several weeks and while we were going through our studies on something. And what I'm going to do is we're going to take a break from this, and I'm going to do probably a couple of weeks, and we're going to look into Genesis chapter 4, 1 through 7, Hashem willing. And after that, then we're going to get into a very, very long study of the book of the seven, what I call the 7 gates of righteous knowledge. And we're going to go page by page through that book. So it's going to be a lengthy one, but I think it's going to be beneficial for a lot of people because it is the spiritual knowledge for all righteous Gentiles. Looking forward to getting into that. But the study of Genesis 4, 1 through 7 is going to be really good. Like I said, we've had some questions in that area, and we're going to take some time to go through and discuss these passages to help answer the questions that Scotty and I have gotten in over the last few weeks. Scotty, you about ready?
I am ready. I am ready.
All righty.
I had an interesting conversation this week with somebody, and we were talking about tzedakah, charity. And so I've had something on my mind all week, and I'm just going to drop it to everybody before we start our tzedakah time here. Gratitude. Thanking Hashem, thanking the creator for everything you have. I know we live in a world that everybody's kind of looks at what we don't have. We spend more time looking at what we don't have than what we do have. But I think we need to give gratitude to the Creator for everything we do have, and that will, when you give tzedakah or you are the recipient of tzedakah, gratitude, always gratitude. I just want to throw that in. Okay,
Scotty, can I recommend a few things?
Yes.
Since you brought that subject, hold on, I got to turn around.
Go ahead.
Where's it at? Always keep these books together. These are by Rabbi Shalom Arush of Breslov, Israel, in his garden series. Understand these are written for the Jewish audience, but the subject matter is fitting for all of us. I recommend this book since he brought it up. It's called The Garden of Gratitude by Rabbi Shalom Arush.
Oh, yes.
You can see that. That's a really good. It talks about the importance of gratitude. And then also a sister book to that, The Garden of Miracles. It says, say thank you and see miracles. And that's a really good book. It's this, and here is 190 true stories about the power of gratitude. It's about stories and stuff and things that's happened when people have shown gratitude toward the Creator and toward others. So since Scotty brought that up, I'll throw those out as recommendations.
Terry, keep those close just for a minute. When I put you on speaker view, we'll have you kind of show them just before you start teaching tonight. Is that okay?
That's fine, because I've got one that I want to recommend as well that goes along with what our subject's covering too. So
okay,
I'll keep these.
Okay, great.
Room, I got books everywhere. I need an L-shaped desk. Then I'd have to be like the Duke boys. I'd have to jump over it to get into my chair.
Oh goodness.
All righty, Scotty.
All right. Again, we thank everybody for joining us tonight. Now we're going to start our tzedakah off tonight, always with Terry and I's teacher. And so it's Pesach and Shira Sherbo. We're giving tzedakah. Pesach is recovering from open heart surgery. And so we're giving tzedakah for them tonight. Also, Diana Taylor, we're giving tzedakah for Diana and the family tonight. Also, Tom, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right, Massengill. Didn't he lose a finger? Is that what happened to him?
No, he had an accident and he was going to lose part of his finger. And the surgeon was able to put it back on. So at this moment,
okay,
at this moment, it looks like he's gonna be able to keep his finger. But of course, right now it's in the stage of making sure no infection sets up, make sure, everything kind of grows back together. But his wife messaged me and said that the doctor thinks things are going to go okay, but he's in that period where he's got to get past the infection stage, but he was able to put it back on.
All right. Great. Thank Hashem for that.
Baruch Hashem.
Also, Terry, while you're there, we're giving tzedakah right now for the Williams family. Do you want to give us a little information about the Williams family?
I was approached by a fellow co-worker this week. She was, I knew something was wrong when she was about to walk past me, and I stopped her and talked to her, and she called me aside, and she's got a friend that she grew up with since they were in diapers. Of course, he lives up in Pennsylvania, where she's originally from. And they had a horrible accident at their home, and one of their children died because of that. And so keep the Williams family. I don't have their first names. I didn't ask because this actually happened, she told me, about a month ago or something. But the father has seeped into some really bad depression. So keep this Williams family in your prayers. It's a real bad situation. It's horrible when a child dies. A lot of families, marriages can't survive that. But when an accident happens at home and one of the parents, was part of the situation, it was a pure accident. And it's wrecking their family right now with depression and just every emotion that you can think of. So keep this Williams family in Pennsylvania. Shem knows who they are, who knows what they're going through. Just keep them in your prayers. My prayers has been to help somebody come by and bring some comfort to help bring him out, because he's looking for the answers in the wrong place, if people know what I'm talking about. So keep them in your prayers.
Yes. We'll continue to give tzedakah for them, and maybe this week too. I always say this about the Blessed Memory Time, but maybe you can give tzedakah this week for the Williams.
Yeah, if you can find somewhere that's that you can give honest tzedakah to help someone else out in the name of the Williams family, and just pray for relief to come for the parents of this situation, because I'm hearing it's pretty bad.
All right, let's do remember them. Also tonight, let's remember Julie Tyler family. Also, we're giving tzedakah tonight for Wendy Shepherd, and giving tzedakah for Wendy. Also for Clifford Hool, we're giving tzedakah for Clifford Hool. Actually got a phone call from him today, and he thanked us for giving tzedakah and talked to me for a little while. And we're giving tzedakah for Clifford Hool. Also, Terry, you got some tests coming up, don't you? We're going to give tzedakah for you tonight.
Next Tuesday, I've just got some standard, testing that goes on because my mother passed away with colon cancer. I'm high risk. And since I had some gallbladder issues, they're going to do some tests on my stomach to see what's going on there. It's not bad. It's just there is a few issues, and same doctor that did my surgery is doing all these tests. So when I told her what was going on, so she said she will go ahead. And so, next Tuesday I go in for some tests. Okay. Also, Amuela, somebody always sends in tzedakah with your name on it. So this is your tzedakah going into the tzedakah box. So we are giving that for Amuela. And also Thomas, they always send in for Thomas Schaus as well. And see if I can get this in here. And also Veronica Port, she had to leave. We're giving tzedakah for Veronica tonight. Veronica has sprained her ankle, and she's in the urgent care there where she's at. She kind of came into the Zoom room just prior to us live streaming, and said when she left she would leave because the doctor came back in the room. So we're looking for a speedy recovery for Veronica. It was a right foot, and I asked her if she could still drive, and she said, "Oh yeah, I can drive. She can push it down really far, just letting it."
So we're giving tzedakah for Veronica tonight. Also for Warwick Marshall. Is anybody anybody got an update on Warwick?
I haven't. I don't know if Chrissy has.
Okay. No.
He's just the same. He's still waiting for that second lot of brain surgery, but he's fine. He's with his mum still.
Okay. Also, we're giving tzedakah tonight for Mary Parsons. Let's see, I'm looking for Wendell. There he is. Wendell, my box is getting smaller when people's in here, and I ain't got my glasses on. So, Wendell, how is Mary? Now we've been really praying for Mary, and I remember we was praying for her, and she's shoveling snow. So now she's planting flowers.
No, she's not.
Okay. Okay.
Enough with the outside for her. No, she's doing very well. So, she's well on the way to recovery, and she's got past her first year, and everything's going well. Thank God.
Baruch Hashem. Also, we're giving tzedakah tonight for William Lyons, and also giving tzedakah tonight for Ronald Dickman. Ronald, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yes,
right.
All good.
I believe you look better every time I see you, Ronald.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're going to do our blessed memory tzedakah time. And on these two blessed memories we have tonight, I'm going to ask you to write these names down. Also the Williams family, so that'll be a third name. And seek out somewhere to give tzedakah for the merit of these two blessed memories and for the Williams family. But our first one is Diana Mae Stone. We're giving blessed memory tzedakah for Diana Mae Stone, and then also for Willie Lee Myers Jr. Given blessed memory tzedakah for the merit of Willie Lee Myers Jr. Would you help us pray tonight? Hear our voice, Adonai, our God, Father of mercy. Have compassion on us and accept our prayer with compassion and favor. For you are a God who hears prayers and supplications. Our King, do not send us away empty-handed. Favor us and answer us and listen to our prayers. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Terry, I'm going to get you on speaker view. And if you would just show those books again and hold on, I'm going to mute myself and then bring you up.
All right. Greetings, everyone. Like Scotty was talking about gratitude a while ago, and when he does that, it seems like no matter what he brings up, I probably got a book on it. And if I don't look at the wall behind him, that is not a green screen, folks. That is live. He has plenty of books as well. All righty. First, I want to recommend this is, like it says, by Rabbi Shalom Arush of Breslov, Israel, The Garden of Gratitude. Again, these two books are written for the Jewish audience, but they have a lot of precepts in here on gratitude that Rabbi Arush has given that works for all of us, because gratitude fits all of humanity. We benefit from it. And he talks about the power of gratitude and how it changes lives and things like that. And then he goes through a lot of different aspects of the subject. A few years after that, they came out with the Garden of Miracles, says, say thank you and see miracles, 190 stories about the power of gratitude. And I've got several in here, my favorites that I really recommend, because it kind of gives you real life things where people have gone through something and they've said thank you and has saw some changes in their life because of the gratitude. And so I just recommend. I love Rabbi. If you can see this whole section right there is pretty much every book that Rabbi Arush has put out, except for maybe something here recently that I don't know about. He's one of my favorite rabbis to study. He is a Breslover, so he's a student of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, and I studied him since 2008. And I love his teachings. He has a lot of teachings on prayer and Emuna, on faith, things like that. That can a lot of it apply to all humanity. Scotty, anything from last week before we continue on? Because I know we had some questions last week or something.
I think pretty well everything that was asked last week wasn't really asked we do have a couple of them, but I think you're going to cover those next week, or when we get to that Q&A. And the people from the Georgia folks, they submitted a couple of questions, and they just told me that they're going to wait for the Q&A and give those to. They've asked a couple questions, but they're going to kind of fine tune them and specifically get some questions on what you've been teaching and send them to me, and then I'm going to pass them on to you, and that way you can kind of cover them on the Q&A.
Okay. Yeah, Hashem willing, what I'm going to be covering after we finish this, whether it's tonight or next week, will be, when we finish this topic we've been covering, is, like I said, we received some questions dealing in and around the subject of Cain and some things that we brought up in the past several weeks in our studies. And so I'm going to be going through Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 through 7. I was just going to do verses 6 and 7, but I decided to back up to verse 1 and bring in this whole thing up to that point, because there's some information that needs to be brought out. And I think it'd be good if we haven't had a little study like that in a while. And we'll do that before we get into our book study from Rabbi Weiner's book on the 7 gates of righteous knowledge. All righty. Tonight, I'm going to pick up where I was wanting to end last week. And as I was studying for this week, it was really, it's Hashem's will for us to where we got to last week, because where I was going to end is really the place to pick up this week on the subject of morality and kindness, the obligation of morality and, social morality and kindness, because we're going to be looking into that. We're going to be looking into some Psalms here, and that's what might take me a little bit longer, because I didn't first have some of this stuff planned. But as it's like I said, it's a buffet. As you go, I want this, I want this, I want this, and then before you know it, your eyes are bigger than your belly, and that's the way it is with Torah study. It's amazing, it's delicious, and you seem to can't get enough of it. And as a teacher, it's very easy to put more on your plate than you can eat, in one setting. So tonight we're going to pick up and see how far we can go. All right, I'm going to be bringing a lot of this information tonight again from Rabbi Weiner's book, The Divine Code, 4th edition, under the law, the laws of establishing of laws and courts that we started last week. In Hebrew, that is Dinim, D-I-N-I-M, Dinim, not denim like your blue jeans, like Levi. It means courts and courts of justice. So tonight, Rabbi Weiner, where I left off last week, he says that the Noahide commandment, or the commandment of Noah, of the obligation of Dinim, is not only for Gentiles to judge and punish transgressors. See, there's some people that runs off with this stuff and they've never studied it, and they read something and then they jump to the negative automatically because they've not really studied. And we covered that last week on the issue of capital punishment. That's a big thing people run off with and make statements and videos out there on YouTube, and they've not studied the subject. They're just trying to, they think we're going to run around and chop off heads, and we're not. We can't. We're not permitted to, actually, even though there's a law. We're not permitted to because of certain situations. And so I covered that last week. If you haven't heard that from last week, I recommend going back and pick up last week's class. We covered that issue in last week's class. But it says it's not only for us to judge and punish transgressors, but also to take care about morality of the society. This includes making moral laws to guard the populace from sinning, and any other laws necessary for the establishment of just and peaceful society. The non-Jews are therefore obligated within their commandment of Dinim, of just courts, to make righteous and beneficial laws that are effective for all the country and all matters between people, such as laws in the areas of theft, which these are also primary categorical laws, requiring a thief to reimburse his victim, cheating, payment of a hired worker, holding back a worker's pay, obligations regarding a watchman, rape, seduction, monetary damages by a person's damaging someone financially, or a person allowing property to damage someone else's bodily or financially, bodily injury, leading and borrowing other business transactions, requirements for courts to administer justice according to these laws. In the main laws of the what we call the Noahide Code are already outlined, as we've been covering. We've been covering all these different laws of theft and murder and forbidden sexual relations and things like that. We know that regarding theft, cheating, holding back workers' pay, or the obligations to pay a watchman, rapists and seducers, monetary damages, and bodily harm, we already know we have set commandments that from the Creator to avoid these things, because a lot of these are sub-commandments of theft and murder and forbidden sexual relations. See, our 7 commandments of Noah are categorical, and they have a lot of details underneath. That's why I've only been touching a little bit of them as we've been going through, just been going a little bit deeper than what we normally do, but you can go on a lifetime in studying our commandments and learning to correct our behavior and correct our lifestyle and correct our society and our nations. That's what the purpose of these are, and we're going to see that here in a moment. It says the laws must obviously conform to logic and moral standards, and they must not be like the evil and cruel laws of the biblical city of Sodom, on account of which God utterly destroyed that metropolis. And so I want to go and look at that. Scott, did you say something? Okay, thought I heard something there because I was looking down. I want to go and look at what the Creator tells the prophet the reason for the destruction of Sodom. I want to look at that. Yes, it had a lot of immorality and things going on, but there is a specific sin that the Creator told the prophet in Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 49. Amuela's done got it up there. Good. Before I even got there. There you go, Amuela. All righty. We're looking at Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 49. And it says, behold, this was the sin of Sodom, your sister. She and her daughters had pride, sufficient of bread, and peaceful serenity, but she did not strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. And they were haughty, and they committed an abomination before me. So I removed them in accordance with what I saw. Remember, when we walk in with the Creator, it's just like with Jonah when he forgave Nineveh, he saw their deeds. When he did what he did with Sodom, he saw their deeds. What he's done to the flood, he saw their deeds. And it's not about the faith. Faith is a part of it, but the clincher is what he saw, what is going on. And so I wanted to read here. I'm reading from the Artscroll book of Ezekiel here, from the prophets, the Milstein edition of the book of Ezekiel. And so in the commentary, it says, in the sin of Sodom, she did not strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. It says the verse does not mention the cruelty of Sodom. It implies that their sin was in not extending kindness to the needy. But we do not find within the 7 laws of Noah an explicit requirement to be kind and charitable. See, kindness and charity falls underneath our other laws of theft and murder. they're non-commanded obligations. And these obligations is so important that because we understand Sodom was a Gentile city, and they were judged not only on some of the sins of immorality and stuff they were known for, but the final judgment came down because they did not lift the hands of the needy. Now, in other teachings from the traditions of Israel, and when it says that the cry of Sodom had come out, come before the Creator, and the Torah sages, and I've covered this before in past teachings, the Torah sages teaches us what that cry was, and this is in their traditions, in their teachings from way back. This cry that came before him was from a little girl, in whom she gave a piece of bread to a poor, hungry person. And Sodom had laws against charity. So they took her, put her on the city wall, covered her in honey, and allowed the bees to destroy her. And she cried out unto the Creator. And because of this lack of kindness and this hatred toward charity, it was the signature that brought their destruction. It goes on and it says, rather, one of those laws, even though it's not explicit, but it is some of our kindness and charity is part of our non-commanded obligations. We don't have a direct commandment, but we have an obligation to do it that we must fulfill. And we learn this because of this passage here that though the Gentiles didn't have a command in that, we have an obligation to, and it's such a strong obligation that when we don't follow in it, it can bring destruction. It says, rather, one of those laws is to maintain an equitable system. What we've been studying, Dinim. We have to have a set, just system of laws and courts. The laws and courts of Sodom was wicked and evil, and therefore it made the 5 cities of Sodom, wicked and evil because of the court systems. And they had laws, like I said, against charity. It says, from this verse, we see that charity and kindness, too, are necessary for an orderly life. Since the world was created on kindness, Psalms 89:3, which we're fixing to go through that in just a moment. I'm going to come back to it. Sodom's refusal to permit its citizens to exercise even elementary kindness undermined the very foundation of the universe. We're going to see that. When we have cities, we've had cities here in the past decade or so have laws that prevent certain kinds of kindnesses. And when I saw these things, it scared me. I'm just going to be honest with you, it scared me because these laws that are against kindnesses and charity undermines the very foundation of the universe. For this, Sodom deserved to be overturned. All because of this. And so, in the commentary, it goes to Psalms chapter 89, verse 3. I want to go through this. This is some of those extra spoonfuls that I put on my dish this morning. But I think you'll love this here. Hold on. I've got actually 3 Psalms now because another one kind of fell into my dish this afternoon. Hold on, let me go here. 89:3. There we go. 89:3. It says, for I have said, at all times is loving kindness built. The heavens you prepare for your guiding faithfulness through them. What I want to do is I want to go into the Hebrew here of this passage. Because Rabbi Hirsch, where I'm going to be reading from here in just a second, goes through this Hebrew. It's beautiful. In verse 3 here. Let me go. There we go. 89.3. 89.3. I'm looking at I love this Tehillim. It's an interlinear. It's got the Hebrew with the English underneath it. It's from Artscroll. It's a Scottstein edition, the Psalms of interlinear, where it has the Hebrew and the English. And it says, key for Marti, I said, Olam, forever, Hesed, your kindness, Yabina, be built. And he goes, Shemayim, the heavens, Tahin, you establish, the heavens you establish, Emuna Teka, your faith is Bechem, is in them. And what is interesting, I love this. When I first started reading Hebrew and I started studying, and like I said, one of the prayers is there's a certain prayer that the Jews pray that is dear to me. And it was the first time I'd come across this word, and here it is in the Psalm. It's called Emuna Teka, your faith. It's translated your faithfulness. I want you to think of this, because this is just where my mind goes. We're always discussing about our faith. But when have we meditated and pondered on the faith of God, God's faith? Emuna Teka. It's really powerful, because the prayer that I love is about that he maintains his Emuna Teka, his faith, with those who lie in the dust. And so he maintains his faith with those who lie in the dust. It's one of my favorite prayers from Israel. And for the first time, I thought, I never pondered God's faith. Just something to think about. I won't charge you for that one. So now on to Rabbi Hirsch and what he's discussing in this passage here. Because I'm going to go through this, and then I'm going to come back to the introduction to this psalm, which was amazing. Let me find it here, make sure it's where I was at. Yeah, it's kind of an introductory part to this psalm. I wanted to read a little bit from that. Rabbi Hirsch says, for Emuna, I mean, not Emuna, but a Marti, I've said, he says, I proclaim from the principle that the work of building loving kindness goes on constantly. This means that Hesed, the loving kindness which God desires to make a living reality, will not be presented to mankind all at once in a complete form. He goes on, he says, it is rather an edifice which all the coming generations have to build, and to whose eventual completion of every age is expected to make its own contributions. Every generation is to make its own contributions of loving kindness, and it builds on the loving kindness of the generation before. You know, and just a thought that came to me as I just read that. There's a place over here in the North Georgia mountains, in our Georgia group. I know it'll be a little drive for you. If you ever get a chance to go to Gibbs Gardens to spend a day, it is worth it. It's over 300 and something acres. It's beautiful. We got a year pass, and we've gone 3 or 4 times and hadn't gone over the whole thing. I mean, it's got places in there where there's rose gardens. It's got plants and flowers from everywhere, all over the world. It's got one of the nation's largest Japanese gardens in the back, which is my favorite spot, because I love the Japanese gardens with all the maples and things like that. And he's got rose gardens where he's got signs that says, please walk on the grass. They want you to get through. They want you to go through it. And if you're not able to walk, they've got trams that take you all over the place. It's worth it. It's called Gibbs Gardens. It's in the North Georgia mountains. For those who are close to there, I really recommend it. And I got to meet Mr. Gibbs one day. He was out talking to people in the gift shop, and he had gone to England and studied growing. Matter of fact, and he's been all over the world getting rocks and things that goes to these different kinds of plants. And like we went to Japan and got some Japanese stones and stuff there for the garden. And he studied gardening over in England. And he told my wife and I, we were standing there, and he says, you ever see the English gardens that they have? They're huge and they're beautiful. He said, they didn't plant that all at one time. He said, every generation adds its flair, its part. And that garden is built on. Every generation puts its part to the garden. And then the next generation comes in and adds its part to the garden. So this is like what Rabbi Hirsch is saying here. The loving kindness is built on by generation by generation. In our generation, it is our time that we're alive to put our share of loving kindness on humanity and build upon what the Creator started generations ago with Adam. And so like those English gardens, they're not not one set of people just throws that whole thing out and plants it. No, every generation adds its flair to it. And so I just thought of that example as I was reading that. He goes on, he says, Olam is never employed in the Tanakh to mean the world, but to denote the time veiled from our eyes, which lies before and after the known present. And likewise, Shemayim, heaven, all extraterrestrial worlds, upon which the course of events on earth depend, is in the service of God and is his instrument, which he employs to activate his Emuna, his faith, his guidance. That is to train man to be able to receive chesed, loving kindness. And then he quotes over here at Psalms 36, and we're going to go to that in a second. But I wanted to go back here on Psalms 89 and read this one little bitty paragraph from the introduction here that in Rabbi Hirsch's book on Tehillim on the Psalms. He said, verse 3 contains the thought that the universal salvation which God in his mercy has appointed for Israel and mankind in general, indeed, still lies in the future. It must be remembered, however, that the building of this future goes on without end, even now, and that every event that heaven decrees to happen upon the earth is nothing but the manifestation of God's faithfulness, which guides and trains us for this goal of ultimate salvation. Now, understand that the Hebrew and the Jewish understanding of salvation is not the same as the religions of the West and of the world. It has nothing to do with your eternal soul and all of that. Salvation, when you read it in the Torah, it deals with being saved from situations. One definition puts it like this. From the Torah's perspective, salvation is closely related to the idea of redemption, a saving from the states or circumstances that destroy the value of human existence. God, as the universal spirit and creator of the world, is the source of all salvation for humanity, provided an individual honors God by observing his precepts. And we're going to come to that here in just a second after we go through Psalms 36. If I hadn't moved my markers. Where did I do my Psalms 36? Have you got that up, Amuela? Yeah, Psalms 36, 6. Psalms 36, 6. Oh God, your loving kindness is in the heavens, and your guiding faith reaches unto the clouds. Rabbi Hirsch says that the designate says it is said of those bodies, talking about Ezekiel. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't highlight that one. Let me go back up here at the top. It says David refutes with this the name of Hashem, the designation of the rule of God, which trains man for his moral perfection and thus future salvation. So it says, God, your loving kindness is in the heavens. Your guiding faith reaches unto the clouds. And when we see here, King David said, this is talking about the rule of God, which trains man for his moral perfection, for his future salvation. And so we see that morality has a deal in that subject, that saving humanity, the essence at it is morality. What did we learn from Sodom? What did we learn from the flood? We learn that these issues of morality that is brought up, and because of so much immorality in the world, it brought this destruction upon the planet and upon these 5 cities. So it's very, 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 very important on the moralities while we're covering morality, because it's a very important part of our laws and courts, that we have laws that govern morality. We talked about that last week, about the law actually governing morality, and especially those in the United States. We don't like that. We want to be left alone. But as we saw last week, when we're left alone, the immorality that we do inside of our house seeps into the society. You take it to work with you. You take it to the store with you. You take it to your neighbor's house. So it doesn't stay. Immorality doesn't stay within the four walls of your house. You will take it outside. It will cause the collapse of society. We are seeing that. We're seeing the immorality that is going on, and the laws do not forbid this stuff. Therefore, it is destroying not only our society, businesses who are joining the celebration of immorality are falling, losing billions of dollars, because luckily we have enough people in our nation that are standing up for righteousness and morality. The problem is our government does not support a legal system that restricts immorality. And so we are, as a nation, are trekking in the same track of Sodom, the same generation of the flood, because of the immorality that we are allowing. In Ezekiel in Psalms chapter 37, I think it's 37. I lost my paper that I had everything written down on. That's what happens when you have all these books. I run out of spaces. I put things where I can't remember. I've hit my 50s. Let me back up here. Because I didn't send this one to you, Amuela, because it was this afternoon. It's in, I'm getting there. Yes, Psalms 37. Psalms 37, starting verse 27 through 29. It says, therefore depart from evil and do what is good and retain tranquility forever. For God loves justice and shall not forsake his devoted ones. They shall be preserved forever. But the seed of lawlessness shall be cut off. 29, the righteous shall inherit the earth and rest therein forever. Rabbi Hirsch says, therefore, always shun evil, do good, remain true to yourself. Do not let the variations and changes in earthly things sway you to alter your character and desire, but attain peace and constancy forever. For you know that God loves righteousness and not wrongdoing. In the course of time, for all days to come, is his through all eternity. He will not forsake those who devote themselves to him selflessly. They will be preserved forever, while the seed of lawless shall be cut off. The righteous shall one day inherit the earth, and they shall then have a permanent place forever for peace and harmony. For the righteous shall inherit the earth forever. The righteous means you're observing the precepts, just like what it says here in the definition, where it says that God is the universal spirit and creator of the world, is the source of all salvation for humanity, provided an individual honors God by observing his precepts. We were given 7 categorical commandments, 6 from Adam, 7th added to Noah after the flood, and they're reaffirmed and reestablished by Moses, from God to Moses at Mount Sinai, and the authority comes through Moses, the writer of the Torah, in which he was he wrote down everything that the Creator said, and so it's passed on to us through the power, through Moses' authority, not power, but through his authority. And therefore, we are to observe these things. And when we observe these things, as the Rambam says, is when we accept upon ourselves, we're talking about the non-Jewish peoples of the world, when we accept upon ourselves the 7 laws of Noah, because Hashem, the Creator, has commanded them, we will become the righteous of the nations. Now, we don't run around saying we're righteous, but we become, because we accept this upon ourselves, we'll become the righteous of the nations. We will join with Israel, the righteous Israel. And just as it says here, the righteous shall inherit the earth. It doesn't say a particular people, Israel or, this. No, it says the righteous, the Sadiqim. In Hebrew, it's the Sadiqim. And so we take our part in this issue here is when we live our lives by these laws that we're supposed to. Right now, it's at an individual status. Believe it or not, you can research it. I don't have it. I think it was under President Reagan. That our Congress has accepted, it's right there in historical documents, that has accepted that these 7 laws is the basis for the way life should be run. I meant to get that actual document and read it. Looks like Bob has that. Do you have it, Bob? Do you have the actual declaration, short version of the declaration? We're going to give Bob here a few seconds to let him read it, because it is a historical document of the United States Congress. But anyhow, morality as such is an important issue, and that's what we're saying. We have to set up laws governing morality that we've been covering, and we learned this in these Psalms, in Psalms 89:3 and was it 36:6 and 37:27 through 29. Are you ready? Are you ready, Bob?
Ready for my hopefully be able to read.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, joint resolution to authorize and request the president to issue a proclamation designating April 4th, 1982 as the National Day of Reflection, whereas the Congress recognizes the historical tradition of ethical values and principles which are the basis of civilized society and upon which our great nation was founded, whereas these ethical values and principles which from the dawn of civilization, when they were known as the Seven Noahide Laws, have been the bedrock of society, without which the edifice of civilization stands in serious peril of returning to chaos, whereas society is presently profoundly concerned with the weakening of these principles that has resulted in crisis that beleaguer and threaten the fabric of civilized society, and whereas the justified preoccupation with these crises must not let the citizens of this nation lose sight of the responsibility of transmitting these historical ethical values from their distinguished past to the generations of the future, and need occasional reminder of the duty and privilege. Now, therefore, let it be resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled that the President is authorized to issue a proclamation designating April 4th, 1982, which this year coincides with the 80th birthday of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, universally recognized and revered leader of the head of the worldwide Lubavitch movement, who has done so much to foster and promote these ethical values and principles of the National Day of Reflection.
Right, and other presidents like Freddie says, President George W. Bush and Trump both have signed that agreement in future times. So these ethical laws, which is called the Noahide laws or the 7 laws of Noah, has been recognized by our government in the United States. Whether they abide by it's a different story, but they have been recognized as the ancient set of morality laws that all civilizations have been built upon throughout history. And when you look at it, and we discussed this a few weeks ago, where this one guy who studied 86 societies in a 5,000 year period that all fell because they forgot and walked away from these 7 categorical laws that came down to us from Adam through Noah, now through Moses at Mount Sinai. And so this is not just something that we're just making up here. Even our government here in the United States recognizes their importance as a bedrock set of values for society. And so I'm going to continue on. I've got a few minutes. I'm going to go over a little bit. Because I got a place I want to get to here. So bear with me. I'm going to go over here just for a few minutes. Rabbi Weiner goes on and he says, through the commandment of Dinim, it is primarily focused on the conduct of a community with the purpose of creating a just society. Each individual is nevertheless part of this community and will necessarily impact society as a whole through his or her actions. Then Rabbi Weiner quotes Leviticus 19:15. He says, with righteousness shall you judge your fellow. This verse teaches us not only about upholding of justice in the courts, but also the ethical and moral way for an individual to conduct his or herself. The sages of Israel learned from this verse, judge each person favorably. And they also taught regarding the necessity of reaching a compromise in order to preserve peace, and that making peace is part of judging favorably and acting kindly. Now, one of the books I want to recommend to you that I got, a friend of mine actually recommended this one to me years ago. And this is on the subject of, judging each other favorably. And I really recommend this book. It's called The Other Side of the Story, Giving People the Benefit of the Doubt. These are actual real stories and strategies by Yehudis Samet. And I'll hold that book up there. The Other Side of the Story. And there's actual stories in here of where somebody was doing something, going through something, and something didn't go the way they planned. Seemed like they didn't hold up to their end of the bargain. And, they had all these thoughts, and then the other side of the story is revealed. And so it's really good about giving, learning to give the benefit of the doubt. From the introduction, I'm just going to read this couple sentences right here from this book. It says, if the guidelines for a life of harmony has been provided, should we not take full advantage of them? Now, that's what we're talking about. For us, the non-Jewish peoples, the guidelines for a life of harmony has been given to us. They're found in the 7 laws of Noah and all of their details. It says, should we not avail ourselves of the abundant advice offered to us by our Torah and those mitzvahs, the commandments, which mitzvahs I love better than the word commandment, because once you start understanding mitzvahs in the Hebrew, the word commandment has a negative tone in English. So mitzvahs is a lot better word because it denotes deeds and action along with commandment. But it says our Torah, it says, should we not avail ourselves of the abundant advice offered to us by our Torah and those mitzvahs that sweeten our lives and brings us peace both between one another and within each individual? It will bring peace within yourself. A couple of places here I wanted to go to before. Rabbi Weiner goes ahead and he says, charity and kindness are an attribute of Abraham, about whom God said, I have known him because he commands his children with his household after him to keep the way of Hashem, the way of the Creator, doing charity and justice. And from all of Abraham's qualities, the Creator praised his exceptional kindness. He is known as a man of kindness. And he goes on and says, the act of, now this is something you may not have known. This is a really interesting fact about kindness. I love this weather where the sinuses go crazy, especially in Chattanooga. By the way, in Chattanooga, it is established fact that in this city, in this county alone, the purchase of sinus and allergy medicines is the highest among any city in the United States. It's because of our mountains we have here and the way the wind traps everything in. Rabbi Weiner goes on and says, the act of kindness is greater than charity. Charity is important, but the act of kindness is greater as it can be done for the rich as well as the poor. Kindness can be done for the rich and the poor. It can be done by both money as well as bodily effort, such as visiting the sick, gladdening a bridegroom, escorting a friend. As well, charity is done only for the living, whereas one can do kindness for the dead, as eulogizing and escorting and burying the dead. Matter of fact, the greatest kindness, what my first rabbi taught me, the greatest kindness you can do is escort someone who has died to the grave. Do you know why? You are doing a kindness in which that person cannot repay. So therefore, it is the greatest kindness when you escort someone to their final resting place. And when you do that, you're doing it because that person, and understanding that that person cannot repay you for your kindness. It's totally selfless for that person. and there is no reward or benefit or favor that can be gotten from that person. Therefore, it is one of the greatest kindnesses is in escorting the dead to their final resting place. Included in these kindnesses are visiting the sick, comforting the bereaved, paying for the expenses of the dead, arranging for an eulogy, the burying of the dead, the honor befitting the deceased and his or her relatives, making wedding arrangements, and inviting guests. Those are just examples. A righteous Gentile should strive to give charity. Now, don't say kindness is greater, because you can do kindness to no matter anyone of their financial status, and you can do kindness for the living and the dead, where charity you cannot give unto the dead. So that's why it's actually a little bit step lower. But it says a righteous Gentile should strive to give charity for the sake of heaven alone, not in order to merit reward, such as a livelihood or health, and surely not for his own honor, as this may cause him to lose his merit. So we need to do it for heaven alone. Helping one who is not needy. I'm going to bring this to a close with this couple things right here. Helping one who is not needy is not considered charity. So if you're giving to someone who's not really needy, you're just helping them out, it's not considered charity. It's not considered tzedakah. Such a person who takes from charitable funds, if someone who's taking charity who is not in need of charity, is a thief, a swindler, as he swindles those who thinks they are giving true charity when he is not. And he is stealing the portions of those who are true from those who are truly needy, who now have less available to them. I'll be honest with you, this is one of the cases why I don't give to big major charity funds. I'm not going to pay for the light bill of some building being on there when I'm wanting to help somebody. I'm not paying for some highfalutin executive to get to drive in fancy cars and have houses and take trips, because that's where some of your money goes. You know, I personally look when I'm giving charity, and some of my charity, you know, that I give is like when my wife and I, we go out to eat, we tip our servers well. Here in America, we tip, because just like my daughter, she's a server. Of course, she just now got a big raise on the dollar amount because she took on a management position. But as a server, they make $2.15 an hour. The rest of it, they live off tips. And that's an average waitress, no matter, or server, male or female, wherever you go. It's always around $2 and something an hour for them. And as Scotty and I know, we know a lot of people that are struggling. That's the only job they can find. Like, I mean, my daughter, she's tried to work, a 9-to-5 job, $10 an hour. She can't pay her bills. So she does do well, but she works a lot of hours. But we pay our servers very well. We sometimes go over and beyond, because a lot of them, some of them we know, and we know that's the only income they got. And so that's just one area that we help give on a regular basis. And because that's a custom here in America, and giving, tipping. If we having a hard, not a hard time, but let's say, things are tight, because like right now, I'm in the auto industry business, and because of what's been going on for 2 years, the slow stuff is kind of catching up, and we've slowed down a little bit. If we can't afford to tip, we don't go in and sit down in a restaurant. If we're looking for something to eat, we'll go through a drive-through, but we will not go in and sit down if we cannot give tips. A tip worthy of giving. That's just something that we do. So that's things you got to think about. When Scotty's always talking about going out and finding a tzedakah box in his area, I don't see them as much as my area down here, but his area, and when I was in heating and air and I was in supply houses all the time, we'd run into somebody that was in our field that was going through a hard time. They got their house burnt. Matter of fact, I was in a beer group at one time that did fundraisers for autism all the time. And one of our members in North Carolina, lived in an apartment, and the apartment complex burnt down. And so our local Tennessee group took up money and bought the children clothes. So they didn't have nothing. They lost everything they had. Everything that they owned was lost in that apartment fire. That's true charity. That's when you start looking for things like that to give to, instead of, I'm just going to give you, I don't give March of Dimes and all these places. No, it's you could be they're thieves because none of your money's going back, they're only portions. And so, and I'll be honest with you, I'm just going to throw a plug out there because I was a personal witness to this. The Ronald McDonald House had some friends who had a preemie baby born, and it was in health conditions. And a city right here south of us in North Georgia, the Ronald McDonald House put them up in there for a couple of months while this baby was in the hospital, fed them, did everything they needed to do, helped them with their light bills, did everything. They didn't have to pay a dime. And so that's a worthy cause, because I've seen it with my own hands helping with this family and everything. So you got to research these things. We want to make sure that what we're giving to is true charity and not being swindled. Likewise, one should not give charity to one who collects unless it is clear that the collector is honest in collecting for a just cause, as it is possible that the collector is a swindler and using the community's money in an unnecessary and wrongful way. So you have to be careful with that. And sometimes it's hard. You have someone comes up, and my daughter got took one time, this beggar that came up, and he actually swindled, because she found out later that he really wasn't what he was doing, saying that he was. So we have to be careful when it's hard. You want to judge someone, but it tells us to investigate. This can be seen by the sayings of the sages, that we investigate a request for clothing and not for food. If someone's coming up and wanting money to buy some clothes, and they might be poor, you're to investigate that to see what's going on. Meaning that when a poor person whose identity is unknown says, "I'm hungry, provide for me with food," we do not investigate whether he is a deceiver, unless he is known to be a deceiver, in which case we do not give to him anything. But instead, we provide him with sustenance immediately. However, if he asks for clothes or something less essential, we investigate whether he is a deceiver, and only if it is clear that he is truly in need do we give to him. I had an example of this in my own life here back this last year. My wife and I was down in Chattanooga and just riding around and was going to some of these local little nurseries, some of the mom and pop shops, and was checking some out. And so we pulled in one of the larger fueling stations just to get us something to drink. It was hot, and we was going to just stop and get us some spring water. I get out of the car and I go in, and there was this man. He was sitting on the sidewalk off to the side, and he asked me. He says, "Sir, can you buy me some chicken in there or something off the bar? I'm hungry." First time I had been approached for somebody to ask me to buy him for food. He didn't ask for money. I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Matter of fact, can I get you something to drink too?" So I went in and I got him some of these little chicken nugget things and some water and stuff like that, and brought it and handed it to him. And then he came up to our, and you could tell he was truly a homeless person, because you can tell sometimes some people, they have some troubles with their mind, and he probably couldn't hold down a job. He looked like he was probably in his early 50s and probably struggled holding a job, because you can tell the way he talked and tried to articulate and things like that. He came up to our window and rolled down, and he said some things to my wife and I that made us cry. And I'm like, this was the first time someone who actually was asking for something didn't ask for money. He says, "Can you get me something to eat?" And then when you're truly helping people out like that. And it's not a problem. Yeah, I'm gonna go get you what you need. And also, do you need something to drink? Do you need something else? And some of these people that are out there are really true. A lot of them are swindlers, but there are those out there that are really true. And we need to look for those. And we never know when Hashem might be testing us on something like that, you know. And so, but that was an example that happened to us last summer, and just never have forgotten it. Never forgotten, especially some of the words he said to my wife and I was, like I said, broke our hearts, you know, in a good way, not in a sad way. He had never had someone do and say some of the things that we said to him before. And we took time to share kindness and charity with this man. And so anyhow, bringing it on down, it says, in the forms of charity, it is proper to prioritize the needy that are closer. This is important. We'll close with this. In all forms of charity, it is proper to prioritize the needy that are closer than those who are farther. One's immediate family members comes before the extended family. One's neighbors before the indignant of the rest of the city, the indignant of the rest of the city, and the indignant of one city before those of a whole country. There's so many places out there trying to get your money. And they're putting all their sad stuff on the TVs and stuff like that, and help this country and help that country. I'm sorry. I don't like giving all that money to Ukraine. No, I'm not sorry. We should not be giving all that money to Ukraine when we've got homeless people and veterans and we got problems in our country. Charity begins at home, and it begins with you. Before you give charity out there, if you have a child that's in need, a grown child, or a family member who has maybe a handicapped child and are struggling to make ends meet, you have an obligation to take care of your family first. That is charity. That's the true charity. If you're going out and you're giving your money to other places, and you've got your own children, your own mother, your fathers, and your uncles that are in need, and you're neglecting them, your charity doesn't mean anything. It has a lesser value. You've got to take care. You've got to look at your home, and then you work outward with your charity. And that's what the Creator wants us to do. And when I learned that fact, my eldest daughter was just out of high school, just starting out, just got her first place, and her and her sister and things like that. We signed up for Venmo, and from time to time, even to this day, we Venmo them some money just to help them out, because we know that it's hard on a single person. Their taxes are higher and things like that. And my daughter, one time, her car went out on her. She spent $3,000 having a car fixed, and it turned around, another problem hit, and she just had to sell it. She didn't have the money to fix it anymore. With us working, at a Toyota dealership, we was able to get her a good used Toyota and get rid of that thing that kept breaking down on her. And so charity starts at home. It starts at home and works outward. And don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty if you have parents and family members, maybe nothing in your immediate, right in your house, like my wife and I, our daughters aren't at home. But we all have sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles. I've got an uncle that has Parkinson's disease and stuff. All of that comes first. All of that comes first. And so I just wanted to end with that. Scotty, we got anything? Any questions, any discussion?
No, everybody. It's like Emuna does from time to time.
Need that light bulb you got.
They really enjoyed it. They really enjoyed it. So, all right. Well, are we coming to a close tonight then, Terry?
I can if we don't have anything we need to discuss before we leave, because I'm going to leave this discussion next week. Hashem willing, we're going to do us a couple of weeks on Genesis chapter 4, 1-7, and discuss that, because some of the questions that was asked, that was brought up from some earlier, I remembered that this week, and I was about to jump into that, and I said, no, we need to go back and hit this subject because we had several questions in that area. It's not really a Q&A. It's just I want to cover that area to help answer several questions we've gotten in the past.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring it to a close. Again, we thank everybody listening by Power Faith Radio and all the groups there. I want to thank, before I go on to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, thank everybody for being in our Zoom room tonight. My lovely wife is here. Fred is here. Thomas is here. I know it says Joanne, but that is really, what's his name? I've done forgot it.
There he comes.
There he is. What? I done forgot your name. I know it. It's right here.
Unmute.
Unmute and say it. I know you're using, can you do it?
My name is Will Hodges. We're with the Native Center out of Humboldt, Texas.
All right. It's good to have you with us tonight. Yes. And then we got Ronald, Chrissy, Wendell, Amuela, Bob, and of course Terry, our teacher. Did I say anybody twice? Did I leave out anybody?
I don't think so.
Okay, I think I done pretty good then. So those of you that are watching via the two Facebook pages, A Simple Walk or B'nai Noach Fellowship, we thank you for watching tonight. Maybe you'll be watching the rerun, as we call it. Please comment, share those videos with all your social media platform. And if you're watching via the YouTube channel tonight, please subscribe. Hit that notification bell that you'll be notified every time a new video goes up, and share those videos with all your social media platform. You can find us at outreachnoah.com and email us at outreachnoah@gmail.com. Did I get all those out, Terry?
I think so. Hey, any of the books I recommended tonight, if you didn't get a chance to write it down, pop us a question and, send Scotty or whatever question, and I can get him the information. And he can get that information to you, because I know it's kind of quick, spur of the moment on a few things.
There are some awesome books. So just pop us an email or pop us a text on Messenger or anything, and we'll try to get those links to you where you can get straight to them and get them. So everybody, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Good to see you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.